Hey everybody, welcome back to another Motivation Monday for Monday, February 25th, 2019. As always, we hope you've had a great weekend and we are here to help you get your week off on the right foot, get going with your practicing, and give you a couple things to think about throughout the week when it comes to music and how to get better. So this week I wanted to give you a quote from one of my favorite interviews with one of my favorite guitar players, Pat Martino. We did an episode on Pat Martino's playing a while back. I don't remember what number it was, but he is just a great guitarist, one of the most legendary in the history of that instrument and in the history of jazz. So in this interview, he's talking about the guitarist Johnny Smith, and the interviewer asks Pat Martino, what did Smith's playing offer you? And Pat Martino says, precision and cleanliness, and getting over what you want to say without laboring over impediments. I'm always concerned with the present moment, and when I was listening to and viewing Smith's mastery of the guitar, I seriously wanted to become another Johnny Smith. But the part of this quote that I wanted to think about this week is that precision and overcoming the impediments of your instrument. So let's think about this in a logical way. We have all chosen a specific instrument, whatever it is, to express ourselves with. So the instrument becomes the tool. You are the player. The instrument is the tool with which you make your music and state your case with what you have to say over the music. So mastering our instrument is a huge part of becoming a great jazz player. It would be like if you were a writer, but you didn't have a mastery over the English language. You can't say what you want to say if you can't use the words to say it, if that makes any sense. I should probably work on my mastery of the English language because it is not so good. So thank God I'm not a writer. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about, right? If you don't have the skills on your instrument to ultimately put all of this knowledge that you're learning into action, you might as well not even be doing it, right? So let's talk about some techniques that maybe you can use to help you with that mastery of the instrument. One of the things that I suggest and one of the things that I do is I practice a lot of classical saxophone etudes. And that really helps me with the problem of the instrument. It helps me to play some things that I would never normally practice or never normally come across in my jazz practice routine, but all of a sudden when I'm playing these etudes, I'm confronted with them and I have to master them. Now, of course, this carries over into my jazz playing because that freedom that I feel on the instrument will immediately translate to freer sounding solos and not being put into a box by my skills on the instrument. Now, of course, I am very far from having mastered the saxophone as an instrument. It's something that I constantly have to work on. But maybe you can organize your practice time in such a way that some of it is spent on just purely getting better at your instrument, and then some of it is spent on, learning all these concepts that I'm showing you on the podcast, or maybe that your teacher is showing you, or that you're learning off of records. Splitting up the practice time can be a really helpful way to do that. If you were to listen to me practice on any given day, you would hear a very distinct difference in the part of my practice routine I'm currently in. So I try to do some technical exercises, whatever they might be. I've got a whole section of my bookshelf that's just dedicated to technical stuff that I've picked up over the years. My teachers made me work on a ton of etudes, and I still have all of those books, and I revisit them very frequently to work on the technical side of my playing. The more that I do this and the more that I focus on this, the more that I find I can express myself when the time comes, when I'm actually at a gig playing over a tune. I don't run into any of those technical roadblocks. And it is, going back to what Pat Martino was talking about, it's all about precision. If you're playing, let's say you're playing an etude and it's just really sloppy, well, you're not getting the most out of that etude at that point. What you need to do is make sure that you're doing things very cleanly and with a lot of precision. Then your jazz playing will sound very precise, because that is the standard that you're setting for yourself. If your standard is low and you're happy with just playing kind of a sloppy version of whatever technical etude you're doing or technical exercise that you're doing, that's going to translate into sloppy playing when you're actually improvising. So remember, practicing and your practice time is all about setting yourself up for what you're going to do when the spotlight is on you and you're in a real life playing situation. So if your standards are not really high in the practice room, that's going to translate to pretty low standards when you're on the bandstand. So I want you to just be really careful about that. But thanks to Pat Martino for those words of wisdom. It always makes me think when I hear these thoughts from the masters of the music. And I always take something away from reading and watching interviews. A large part of my time is spent on YouTube and on Google finding interviews with my favorite musicians. So thanks for listening. Hopefully this gave you some ideas, gave you some new things to think about in the practice room. Maybe you're going to start a whole new section of your practice routine that focuses on the instrument a little bit more. But anyways, we always have great discussions about these Motivation Monday episodes in the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson community group on Facebook. I got to give a shout out to Chris Merrills. He always starts great discussions on that page, and they've led to some awesome back and forth between a bunch of us. So if you're not a member of that group, go request, and I will let you in, and then we can start talking about this stuff. All right, I hope you have a great week, everybody. Happy practicing, and we'll see you on Friday with a regular episode. Bye.